Let's take a minute and talk about our favorite sponsors. Okay, Diet Smoke. Diet Smoke makes premier, federally legal THC products that deliver discreetly right to your door. Their wide range of products guarantees that there's something for everybody, no matter what kind of buzz you are looking for. And this is serious, guys. Like if you want it light, if you want to take it a little higher, if you want different flavors, Diet Smoke is for you. Okay, for our Virzi Effect listeners, okay, we are going to do something cool here. Diet Smoke is rolling out the red carpet for our listeners only. Go to dietsmoke.com and enter code Virzi50. Okay, that's VIRZI50 at checkout for 50% off, guys. Okay, this is not those sponsors that give you 10% or, oh, we'll give you 20% if you say, no. Half. That's why I'm yelling. They're going to give you 50% off. And take it from me, somebody that likes to go at the levels I like to go at when I like to go at them. Diet Smoke is perfect for you. You know, I'm not boozing. This is perfect. Okay. So all you got to do is you go to dietsmoke.com, use code VIRZI50, Virzi50 for half off the first item added to your cart. Must be 21 to purchase. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Virzi Effect podcast show. My name is Paul Virzi, and you guys listening to episode 575. I have another great guest this week, but first I want to thank everybody who came out to Austin, Texas, the Vulcan Gas Company. I can't thank you guys enough. I really appreciate it. And this week I will be in Stamford, Connecticut at the brand new New York Comedy Club in Stamford, Connecticut. May 17th, I'll be at Good Nights in Raleigh. May 18th, I will be at the Comedy Zone in Charlotte. Then I'm going to Indianapolis. June 1st, I'll be at Helium in Cleveland. And the new date, I got a theater date in Idaho, Sandpoint, Idaho at the Pineda Theater on June 8th. More dates coming and big announcement about New Year's Eve. If you're in New York City, hold New Year's Eve dates. My guest today is somebody that I actually wanted to get on the podcast, so it's worked out because I talked to Mikey. He's in New York, sometimes in this studio anyway. The hilarious, how many specials now? Five. Five-time special, unbelievably great dude, fun guy, great stand-up, good father.
Great stand-up, good father. Yeah, it's like bing, bing. Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah, he's a great stand-up and a good father. He's borderline husband. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Byrne is here, dude. Thank you so much for being
thanks,
here.
Buddy.
Oh,
thanks for having
dude.
Me, pal.
Pittsburgh Zone.
Pittsburgh Zone, here we are.
Zone, man. 5 specials. You guys think you're doing shit out there? I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
I want to jump right into this because we both were doing, do you remember, this is going to go way back, dude. This might freak you out because we didn't really know each other. Do you remember Ha Comedy Club?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I remember it was like
Times Square, right?
Times Square. We would go, I don't know if you did, but I would go out and hand out tickets I would bark. And you were a guy that was always, I'll never forget this. I was just sitting there at the bar after a whole night at Ha, handing out tickets in Times Square, doing all these spots. And you came in and you're sitting there with the paper and you were I remember you were hustling. This is obviously before you left. Sure. You went out to LA.
Yeah.
But dude, you were like hustling and you were one of the first guys where I was like, dude, this guy's got a goal. This guy's like a sniper. He's going after it. And then you were doing Beecher's comedy.
Yeah.
Because I was in the competition, but you were one of the. You had a Matsui T-shirt on.
Oh my
Do you
God!
remember that,
yes,
dude?
yeah,
The
of course,
sword
yeah.
swallower
Like
and
Godzilla.
shit. So yeah, they had some Thor-looking dude swallow a fucking sword. I'm not even trying to joke. They had like little people running around.
Yeah.
It was like a carnival.
Yeah.
And I remember I think you and a couple other guys, maybe Bobby Kelly, Jeff Beecher had you guys be the pro comics. It was hosted by Greg Wilson.
The Greg Wilson.
Greg Wilson.
Yeah.
What did he call himself? The steamrolling truck, or no, he had a name for himself, like the Tonka truck of fucking, I don't know. He had one of those, you know, these guys have like the steamroller of comp. Well, he had one of those things, not steamroller, the truck, whatever the fuck. The Greg Wilson hosted. You were on it, and I was in the competition on it. But I remember you were one of the first comics in New York that I was like, this dude is like going into places, reading the paper, doing spots, and like hustling.
Oh,
and I remember being like, fuck, man, I gotta, and then you went out to LA, but I was like, I gotta be like that.
Oh, geez. Well, look, I mean, I think when you're in New York, you see, you know, a good chunk of guys like that. You know, when I first, you know, the Cellar was the first club I passed at, and so I saw guys like Bill, you know, Burr, and Greg Giraldo constantly reading the paper. You know, Jim Norton, who to this day is still one of my favorites. I mean, you could not find a person more opposite than me in terms of what he likes to do or discuss or talk about.
Yep.
But boy, you talk about somebody that was, I've told Bill Burr about this too, who you're very good friends with. And the reason I bring him up is because Jim Norton and Bill Burr, for me, were the two guys when I was coming up, like Giraldo and Colin Quinn and some of these guys, Patrice, they were pretty established. But Bill was like, if I was a freshman, he was a sophomore. I felt like Norton was kind of like a junior. I was like, boy, if I could get to that point where I'm as honest as those guys, and they have their voice already, you know? And I think some comics, it takes a long time to figure out your voice. Like, Bill always had his voice, and Norton had his voice, but it was also like through the voice, there was this sincerity of like, this is my worldview. And it just is inherently funny. And that's the hardest thing to do, I think, is to be opinionated strongly, but still thread the needle with the humor. And those guys, to me, when I was starting, I was like, wow, fuck, that's great. Because it's maybe it's not easy, right, to make people laugh, but it's a little easier to take a joke about pizza or like, you know, the subway, which I was doing when I was 22 or 23.
Right.
But those guys were talking about like things that were really affecting their lives and their world view. And I was like, that's what I want to aspire to, you know? So.
I was in the same boat, and what hurt me even more, I think, super young in my early 20s was people would go, you're really likable and you have a good presence. That hurt me. That hurt me because I was able to get away with shit that wasn't good. Oh, so I didn't even know better because I didn't know better because I'm like 22, 23 murdering, but I'm doing shit that's easy. So it might be funny, but there's no digging deep, right?
But it's accentuated by an inherent personality that you just have, you possess. It's an attribute.
Yes. So when I would get off stage and people are like, dude, you're a natural. People like you, got presence. In my mind, I'm going, oh, I'm doing this right. But then when I saw comedians digging deep and getting honest, and then I started realizing, oh, well, I had some fucked up things happen to me.
Sure.
Maybe let's make that funny. But I didn't know that at the beginning because I'm a young kid. And I'm just like, be funny.
It's so funny you bring that up in terms of like looks, what you can get away with looks, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's why I was working with Schimmel, and then I saw Rickles, and Shim was talking to me about why he wore a suit. And he was like, yeah, I wear a suit. I tell the dirtiest shit in the world, but this helps me get away with a lot. Yeah. And then I was watching Rickles like literally a month later, and I was like, man, he's in a tuxedo. He's insulting everybody. But it seems classy, and he's got the big band behind him. So I always wore a suit after that because the look is, I'm not saying it's everything, but it's a small part of it, right? But I remember the last time I did the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, I was a much younger comic than I am now, and he was saying, Steve, you know, you're doing some of these jokes about sex, and they're cute, they're funny, you're young. Pretty soon you're going to be old, and then you don't want to be the creepy guy. So just think about that. And I was like, wow, fuck, yeah, you're right. And so the minute he told me that, after that, I stopped doing, like, sex jokes. Yeah. And I just, like, written material, hour specials, I was zoning in on things that were more personal and everything else. So,
that's great.
And it was all based off of, like, you know, your aesthetic, which I was like, oh, that's kind of crazy.
But it's true, though, because if Don Rickles dressed like Artie Lang, they would be like, dude, this guy's a fucking racist. Like, dude,
what a scumbag!
If Don Rickles looked like he should be like begging outside a Port Authority and then saying what he was saying, you were like, God. But the tuxedo and the and the sitting on Carson holding a whiskey in a suit, you're like, oh, this is just guys shooting the shit. It really is, but it's fun, and it's so cool that somebody can look like they're in a tuxedo, they're clad with Robert Schimmel, rest his soul, and then say like, yeah, you know, you shouldn't fuck your cat. And you're like, and you're going like, but he's in a suit. It really is like a magic trick. Yeah. Yeah. But I would have this thing where I would go out there young and people were like, man, you just smile at the crowd and people are in and people like you. And I was like, yeah, that's great. And then I would go on the road and do good. But then when I came to New York City, when I came to New York City, I saw comics like when I really started working in the city. Not like the barking shit at Hod, none of that shit. When I started working in New York City and I saw what comics were doing, I'm going, oh, that's about their life. That's about, oh, well, you know, I have depression and OCD. My parents had a brutal divorce when I was young. I didn't see my dad. All these different things. And I'm like, oh, let's fucking. And then once that started to creep into the act, that's when things started to change.
Yeah, it's funny. Like even like Bobby Kelly, who's somebody. I would say if I was a freshman, he was a sophomore. He's a guy that would go up at the Comedy Cellar and destroy, fucking destroy, animated, physical.
Yep.
Really disgusting, dirty, crazy shit. And I remember he'd go to the cooler afterwards and like stand in the meat cooler for 15 minutes so he could cool down because he was exerting so much energy. But he was exerting all the energy because he didn't have material. And then I'd seen him, I moved to LA and I came back a few years later and he had this bit about his girlfriend saying she loved him and how that made him feel. And then his stepfather saying, I love you, and how his stepfather said, I love you like once to him. And it totally fucked him up. And it was this pendulum swing between what we think love is and how love can be unconventional, and hearing it from a stepfather never said it to you. I was like, wow, that was like the moment I'd seen Bobby Kelly in a completely different light, because I always known him as this young killer. And then I was like, oh, he's a fucking, that's a killer bit. You can't make that, only he could write that joke.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny to see that transformation, and you're going, oh, dude, this dude's starting to get real. And if you say that, I love, like, I'll say things to Bobby, like, oh, dude, like, you're so funny, and like he just like trying to give him a compliment.
Oh yeah,
it's like because it brings him back to probably his stepfather. He just like he looks and then he gets mad.
Yeah,
flinches. Yeah. Dude, I gotta tell. There's a funny story about you. We were in Vegas together. I don't think I should say what we're in Vegas for, but we're in Vegas together. There was a bunch of us. We're in Old Vegas.
Yeah,
and you were buzzing, and
probably,
you know, and we were walking through, and you remember the cigar people that you knew,
Vado.
Yeah, so you knew them, and you were me and you had just kind of become friends. We were on the Impractical Jokers cruise together.
Yeah,
and I think that was one of the times where we just actually like really talked,
kind of chill. Yeah,
because at the hotel before we got on the ship, and then we started to kind of be like cool, more cool, because we knew of each other for years.
Sure.
And then we're in Vegas, and this is like the end of the thing we're at, and it's like the last night we're in Old Vegas, and you go, Virzi, come here. You go. Anytime he comes here, you were doing, and I loved it because you weren't doing it sloppy drunk. You're like, you come here, he's gonna take care of you. He's go, what do you want? What do you want? You were being like, and I was like, oh, this guy's fucking great. I was like, this guy, no, and you were like doing that whole fucking thing. Then you go, hey man, I didn't see any of your stuff until I saw you. Like I saw your Comedy Central special, man. It's really, really good, man. And you're just like really, really nice. And then you're walking through the fucking hotel like you own the joint, and you're hammered. And all of a sudden, you just went up to this big dude that you didn't know, and you just go, dude, you want to fight me? And then you both looked at each other, and then you both laughed.
Yeah.
And because it was just you fucking around.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, Steve could get himself into trouble. Because you did it, but you did it in such a
You do it in a fun,
You did it in a fun way, and you weren't like staggering drunk.
Right,
You were like that.
I'm a happy drunk.
Me too.
I'm super happy.
You were like where, like, you know, when you're like 3-4 drinks in, not hammered, but in a great mood, want to be helpful, social. But then you just went up to this big, you go, hey man, dude, and you just looked at each other, and then you both bursted out laughing because it was clear that you wouldn't want to do that.
Of course,
He laughed it off, and I was just like, oh, dude, this dude. But you were like, I remember you were like, dude, if you ever need, you come here, like they know me, and you were like really helpful. Here's a cigar. You were just great, and that's when I was like, oh, dude, like it's weird because when you were in New York, I didn't know that about. I didn't know.
Right.
When you find out like who's I don't want to say like a guy's guy, but one of the guys that I would hang with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like because in this business we hold our circles small. I do.
Of course.
Some guys are friends. I'm friends with everybody.
Yeah.
And I always say this. I sound like a broken record, but I don't do like the community comedy thing.
Right.
I'm not playing on a softball team. I'm staying home, dude. I'm not. You know, we're all gonna go to the park. I'm not doing that. I have children. And listen, comedians are younger and a little
Right,
more,
yeah.
you know, I'm not doing the whole, we're all meeting here.
Right.
We're all going to watch the Super Bowl at a comedy club. Nothing sounds worse to me.
Yeah.
Nothing could be worse than every comedian going to a comedy club with a screen and watching the Super Bowl with
Yeah.
beer. For me, that's an absolute fucking nightmare.
I just saw you. I saw you last night.
Yeah,
We're
and
good.
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to do small talk with everybody in the green room.
yeah.
I want to do small talk in the green room with people I fucking love.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people that I know are like, you know, like-minded.
Yeah.
Right? And when I started to hear about you
Right.
by people that I was close with, I was like, oh shit, like Byrne is like, and then people are like, oh, dude, you and him would be.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's but you don't know, and especially somebody's out
Sure,
west,
yeah.
and there's friends of friends. Like you have, like me and you were both friends with Bartnick,
Right.
So I would hear from you from a distance,
Right,
about you
right.
from a distance. So it's kind of cool that it's kind of cool to have that, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, dude, me and this dude could chill. Me and this dude go to a game together.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
sure,
like
yeah.
like-minded shit, you know, family guys and stuff. And it's not to say that there's anything wrong with the people that don't have
course,
families.
yeah.
I'm not doing that, but it's just like a different mindset.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with everything you're saying, by the way, because I would see you and, you know, Bartnick posting pictures of drinking stogies and having some nice drinks with you and stuff.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh, fucking gentlemen, this is nice.
Yes.
These guys are cool. So when I was in Vegas, I knew you liked stogies. I was like, oh, my boy Vado's right here. I got to introduce you guys. So always looking to make the connection. But look, I'm just like you, man, and maybe even scaled down to a worse degree. I am, you know, it's funny, when I graduated high school, again, friends with everybody, played hockey on 2 teams, and I realized, I was like, holy shit. Like, you'd see everybody pair off, and they'd take their group pictures, right? And I was standing there, I was like, wow, I don't have a fucking group. And it never realized it until I graduated high school, because on Friday I'd go out with them.
Yep.
Saturday I'd go out with them. Tuesday I'd hang out with the baseball players. I just didn't do anything enough. And then I remember when I was leaving New York City, it was the same thing. I was friends with everybody. I used to hang out with everybody. I'd go to Yankee games with Burr. I'd meet Bobby and get shit on by him and Norton. I'd go out with Godfrey and Artie to the fucking clubs and watch them try to bang every white girl in New York City. And like, I was always like, but when I was leaving, I was like, do I have a going away dinner? Or I was like, well, who would I even, like, I'm friends with everybody. I'll just see him tonight at the Cellar. And so,
Yeah.
that was it. And I think then once you get a wife and kids, it's like, it's fucking over. It's like,
yeah.
I'd rather just be home. I mean,
Yeah.
there's times people come into Zanies, and every now and then it's like, if it works out, but I just get home Sunday. I'm home Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yep.
I got to dip out again. It's like, fuck, I want to see
I
my
know.
kids much. It gets tougher the older you get.
It gets tougher the older you get, for sure, and it also gets tougher when your children start asking you questions like, "Hey, are you like?" My son's 13, and like I said, it was so good to cancel some spots because the Knicks are in the playoffs. The Knicks mean so much to us. I've
Sure,
been a
yeah.
diehard Knick, and I was like, "Oh,
But to get to share that with him, that's
we got
incredible.
seats, and to share it with him is so good." But I've become such a homebody. I'm friends with and he's a great dude. He's a huge Knicks fan. Is Jerry Ferrara? You know Jerry, right?
I know of him. I've never met him.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Jerry's a huge. I would say the two people that I know in show business that are as huge Knicks fans would be Sam Morril and Jerry Ferrara.
Sure.
Like, I mean, the Knicks were gonna it's gonna boo, like if they were like, it's gonna be nuts. My son's
Yeah.
like, Dad, I'd give my life for this, and I was like, let's not get crazy. Like that's how much, because I wanted him to. I'm doing this bit now in my act about how
Right.
about how your kids should, like, if your kids don't like the same sports team as you fucked up as a father, and it's hitting home, dude. It's hitting home because I see people
Yeah.
like I see it, but my son has taken this Knicks thing on. But I remember when I became friends with Jerry Ferrara, Bill Burr said to me, he goes, "Good luck getting Jerry out of the house because he's a fucking homebody," right? And me and Jerry had plans to do this, and we went out. We smoked a cigar once. He did the Virzi effect. Shout out to Jerry Ferrara, such a great dude.
Yeah.
Oh, such a great dude. But I get it now, dude.
Yeah.
I get it. Like when people are like I'm not, my time now.
Yeah.
My time now doing multiple podcasts, touring the country, working this new hour, doing stand up. I'm not leaving my kids
Right,
and
yeah.
at my dinner table. Dude, I used to, before pandemic, I'd be like, I got a $25 spot on a Tuesday, and like fucking and I'm real. And my family's like eating. I'm like, bye
Sure,
guys.
yeah.
I'm rushing out the door, and
Yeah.
I'm doing a couple $25 spots on a Tuesday in New York. Now, granted, when you're a younger comedian, you got to do that.
You have to, yeah.
But afterwards, you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I remember the first comic that was like that with me was Lampanelli. I remember she used to live on the Upper East Side, so I'd see her at the comic strip all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to zip down to the comedy cell. You going to go? She's like, I don't go there anymore. I was like, really? She's like, I'm barely here. I go, you don't want to get out? She's like, Steve, I tour. Why do I need to go anywhere?
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the first person that said that to me. And I was like, whoa, shit. And then I remember Patrice back in the day, Patrice O'Neill, and like Bobby and I were talking at the table, like, yeah, I think maybe Friday, just want to stay in and not do anything. I don't want to do sets. And he's like, yeah, you should. You fucking worked your ass off. You earned it. Stay home. You're a comic. This is what we do. You earn your little allotments and stuff. And so, I don't know, those two things, those were the first two people where it's like, you don't have to put your foot on the gas pedal nonstop. And we see it constantly, especially with social media, just the constant like need to put shit out. And yes, you want to do that. But at the same time, it's like, I still want to just go home and not do anything, like literally not do anything. I just want to listen to my son tell me about his day and go through the baseball with him. And same with my daughter, play soccer with her, just take a walk with her, spend time with the missus, all that stuff. That stuff is as meaningful, probably more so than, that's why I don't go to Zanies as much as I could or maybe should. On Mondays, they have the new material, Tuesday, the All-Star show. I'm like, but I want to stay here.
All right, everybody, let's take a minute to talk about our favorite sponsors, Diet Smoke. Diet Smoke makes premier federally legal THC products that deliver discreetly right to your door. Their wide range of products guarantees that there's something for everybody, no matter what kind of buzz you're looking for, from soothing options to help you unwind after a stressful day to their bold line of products that will take you on an adventure. Diet Smoke has got you covered, and with the wide variety of flavors and strengths to choose from, every purchase is new and exciting experience. Why settle for mediocre experience when you can indulge in the ultimate high with Diet Smoke? Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I use Diet Smoke. Okay, it's the only thing that, and it's like in my house, and I'm just like, my wife knows in the cabinet where it is, and I'm like, hey, it's time for a Diet Smoke. I unwind. I like the chill ones, but every now and then, if you want to, put the pedal to the metal, they have that too. The flavors are amazing. They got apple, they got cherry, they got all these different flavors. So you could check that out, and I think you will enjoy it. Diet Smoke's #1 priority is customer satisfaction with quality assurance through readily available lab tests and consistent releases of new hand-picked flavors. Your experience stays fresh and exciting. That is true, guys. They did it with me, and I love them all. Okay? And if you're not completely satisfied, their dedicated customer service team is ready to resolve any issues. For the Virzi Effect listeners, Diet Smoke is rolling out the red carpet. That's right. Go to dietsmoke.com and enter code VIRZI50 at checkout for 50% off your first item and add to your cart. That's dietsmoke.com, code VIRZI50 for half off the first item added to your cart. Must be 21 years old to purchase. Get Diet Smoke. You will not regret it. I love it. A lot of big like comedians that are touring are like, yeah, I don't do spots anymore. And like, yeah, there is something weird because when you look at the clubs who's doing spots now, like, oh, they're younger fucking guys coming up like we were. Sure. But I think there is a time, like I said, I think you pick and choose when to work. Yeah. Oh, dude, I got a new joke. I thought of a joke today on the way here, and I'm gonna go do it tonight. Right, right. You know what I mean? Dude, I gotta run this premise. I never have done this on the show, but I'm so excited about this shit. Right? I never talk jokes on the thing, and I'm not gonna tell the whole joke because I'm gonna actually want to do it. But dude, they got this new Barbie out, right? Yeah. This new Barbie doll, and they want like prosthetics. They want her without limbs, and they want hearing aids. Yeah. They want.
This is real.
No, this is real. This is real. Okay. So like, so basically, I don't want to give it away, but. They got a wheelchair for her, right? And they got hearing aids for her, right? And they got like limbs that you don't need. So I was just going like, well, we got to figure out what Ken's gonna think about this, right? Because they want it to be realistic, right? Yeah. So we need to figure out how Kenny's gonna think about this shit. And I'm like, oh, I got all these beats for it.
Ken's in fucking Malibu.
So yeah. He's not.
Yeah.
So you want it to be realistic. Fucking let's do that. Yeah.
Let's bring in Trevor.
He's in a fucking house like this. Well,
He's in the fucking
Kenny, yeah, I'm fucking
He's
out of
in the
here,
helicopter
Ken.
just
yeah,
taking
dude,
off.
it's just like
Bye.
a Lamborghini with all his bags in the back of it. That's my thing. You want to make it realistic, you better fucking eliminate Ken, because if that bitch is in a wheelchair, it's a wrap. So now I'm like, I gotta do that. I wrote it in my thing. I was so excited.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with it. But that's like the beautiful thing about what we do is we can just go, I'm gonna run on stage tonight and just fuck with that and see. And maybe it's something, maybe it's not. But it's a fun thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I started doing the last hour I did is a late night talk show. So the first 20 minutes of it is just monologue jokes, just classic one-liners, And
right.
It took 5 years to learn how to do that because it's not my wheelhouse. I was like, I want to learn how to write it. I want to learn how to say it. I want to learn how to execute it. And so now it's like part of, my stand-up Swiss Army knife, right? Like this is another asset I can rely on. And prior to, I think, probably you're right, prior to pandemic, I would feel the need to be like, all right, I wrote this. I'm going to go to the store tonight, or I got to go to the cellar tonight. Let me run this and get this in shape. And now it's like I write it. I know the cadence of it. I know the beats of it. And now it's just like I write it and I'll bring it on the notebook and I'll just go out on a Saturday and try it for the first time and feel very confident in it. And I know it's not, you have the bomb lines like Carson did or, any of the late night talk show hosts, whatever. So I'm prepared for it to not go well. I got my pen. I'll just cross it out just to make you happy. All the bomb lines, right?
Right.
But for me, it's almost like nothing now. It's so challenging to like stay relevant because the jokes are only going to last for 2 or 3 weeks. But for me, it's just been a lot of fun to get to do those and not feel the need to be like, I got to work this bit to. It's like, you know what to do. Just do it on stage.
That's really dope that you did that. And I didn't get to see that whole special of yours, but I saw the clips that you put out, and I saw I saw the trailer and I saw the clips you put out. And what's so cool about that is like you're taking a whole different like facet of your game. It's like it's like you try to be a 5-tool player, and you're like, well, let me do something. I actually had a thought about. Doing a special, not this one or the next one, because I have plans for this one and the next one. But maybe down the line, do one where I'm just 100% clean. And I might not.
Right, yeah.
Because I don't want to conform to people going, my mom is like, oh, yeah, I love you, but you curse. And some family members, oh, you curse. And I want to go like, yeah, but I don't have to. I talk real. Like I just talk how I talk. Like I would, if I was talking to you about something, if F comes out, if these words come out, I'm going to say, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, I'm not gonna, but then I'm like, I wonder if doing an hour completely clean would go. That would be fun, just to not even to shove it in people's face.
But it's also the challenge.
But it's also the challenge.
Yeah.
Now, I got a question for you, because as you were saying this, I was like, I want to ask Steve this, because you probably nobody knows better than you. When you do a monologue joke that you said it took you 5 years to just be able to have that skill down.
Right.
Can you take a story type joke? Can you take a longer winded joke and take that joke and make it into a monologue joke, or it just depends on the amount of fat you got to cut out in order to do it?
Boy, I don't know. I've never tried it because most of it's just so topical, and it's usually a play on words is what it boils down to. And I had one the other day. I all the Dylan Mulvaney stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And you just sit there and the wheels start spinning, and you're like, oh, you could say, there you go. And transsexual Dylan Mulvaney, Bud Light influencer, was asked how she likes her Bud Light. She said she hates it in the bottle. She loves it in the can. And it's like, that's fucking good.
That's like a perfect. I wonder if like Leno or one of them said that if they would get, or not Leno, but now the guys now like Fallon, or if they'd get shit for that or not.
Oh, if you told that joke from the perspective of somebody on the opposite side of the pendulum, you'd be canceled in a heartbeat. But it's funny. I was in San Francisco, and that's what got the gears going. I was like, do you want to fight against the tide, or do you want to roll with the tide? And I was like, I want to fight against the tide this weekend. So, I did a trans joke up top, and a woman goes, I think we're done. I go, oh, I don't think we're done at all. In fact, I've got quite a few, miss.
Oh, yeah.
So then you double down. And I think, like, part of the thing you realize is that people hear trigger words and just instantly think you're transphobic, you're hateful. It's like there's nothing hateful about that joke. It's a play on words.
Yeah.
It's just fun. There's nothing hateful about it, and there's a difference between being racist and racial. And I think Bill had talked about that in the past before, years and years ago, but I think there's a major difference between those things. And I think if you just watch, especially that joke and a few other ones in San Francisco, I was very, very shocked at how receiving they were of especially those jokes, because there's no bigger community of an alternative lifestyle than that particular city in this country across the board, hands down.
Yeah. Maybe in the world, maybe. Up there.
Yeah.
Up there.
Certainly not the Middle East.
Yeah. No. And you know, I do think, though, it's swinging back in the comedian's favor a little bit where...
I feel it, too, yeah.
You could feel it. Like, I was on stage, I was in stage in Chicago, and then I was just on stage in Utah and Denver. And when I said these are jokes, guys, like we're fucking around, like everybody clapped, and like, you know, I got a couple things in there that will upset somebody. A woman in Chicago crossed her arms, got up, gave the finger. I have it on tape. It's great. I don't want to put that out, but she just like, she heard something, she went like this, but it was like one person, and even her friend like reached out and was like, that was ridiculous. She's always saying shit like, and it was nice to see that, and it was nice to see that like people understand now. But dude, like, and I don't want to get too heavy on the podcast about like, oh, it's the media's fault. But dude, like when I hear things out there now where like I got a 13-year-old and a 10-year-old, man, they're about to be 14 and 11 in the next month. And when I hear things like, I heard this thing where somebody was just going, all white people are racist, and that's just it. And it's across the board. And I'm going, dude, that's a young person saying that. That's media, dude. Yeah. Like there are racist white people, and they're racist every people. They're racist black people, they're racist Asian people, there's racist Indian. That's what it is. But to automatically put it in the umbrella of everybody of that culture and of that nationality and all that is racist, dude, you're like, dude, these people are listening to shit on the news, and it's dividing us bad. I was thinking today, like, how great would it be if Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson were just having a beer laughing, and they just a picture of that. Like their ties are undone. Yeah. Right. They both have their shit that they had to pack. They're just sitting there, and they got pints of beer, and it's undone, and they're kind of giggling, laughing together in a black and white. That would be like the way we start to heal.
That would. By the way, you're right, because
I know I'm joking, but think about what that picture would do.
Oh.
Dude, if you saw that picture and those guys were kind of half laughing with each other holding a beer, that's like the first step of healing.
The hard and left and the hard and right would lose their fucking minds. But you travel the country as much as anybody. The country really is more centered than a lot of people believe. I think, again, after having been in San Francisco and telling the jokes I did and going to the subject matter I did and going to the place I did, you know, the applause breaks I was hearing, I was like, wow, that's fucking interesting. I thought I was going to come in here as an adversary and really alienate some people, but, win them back at the end. Yeah. But I was really kind of shocked. I was like, wow, I think there's a fatigue here on this level. And then you go to like Texas, and there's a fatigue over there too. I think that, not to get too heavy, but to your point, I think the media does play a huge part in it. And it's not just the news media. It really is, the news media is how we digest information, right? But our kids, it's social media, and it is TikTok. It's the distillation and algorithms that are force feeding them these things. And you understand, yes, it is coming from China, and there is an agenda there. So it is quite harmful. But a part of the pendulum swings of all these things is a big reason why my wife and I moved from California to Tennessee, because we felt like the progressive left was, and look, there's a really super conservative right that we don't agree with either, right? But we just felt like, for us in particular, we want to get our kids out of an environment where they were going to be taught to hate themselves because of their white, to constantly like go to school and see like equity banners all over the place and stuff. And I understand the purpose behind it, but when you get into the metrics and everything, and I just, as someone from a mixed background myself, I've been almost forced to like look at identity issues because it's such a huge part of my act. Yeah. And it's like, if I'm going to go on stage and talk about this stuff, you got to have the fucking information too. You don't want to just be a on the surface kind of person.
Right, of course.
Talking points, so.
No, dude, 100%. And I agree with that. Like, you got to put your kids in a situation where they're not confused about like, should I not like myself, or am I a bad person? Like, that's a fucked up thing. And I'm glad that like my kids listen to my daughter's a little younger, but she sees what's going on. But my son said something the other day that really, really made me, I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before, but he said something amazing, dude. He was like, Dad, he's super. My son is like high honor roll, everything, and a great basketball player. He's like got both, and he's a great kid. And he goes, Dad, I was watching something, I was scrolling through this news thing, and he goes, and something happened, and he goes, they made it racial, but it wasn't.
Right, of course,
And I
yeah.
go, he goes, yeah, they brought like racial stuff into it, but when I really watched it, it actually had nothing to do with it. And the fact that he was able to
13?
Yeah, he's 13. And the fact that
great.
and he's a super smart kid. He's like, the fact that they did that, he's like, I think he even said it's almost like they forced it. And I'm going, all right, we're doing a good job.
He's good. He's clear.
Because he's good, because he's not going to just take, we tell him like, you don't hate and you accept people, but you also have to understand like your worth and like you're okay. And if somebody tells you something different about that, that's not okay. And I want to find out what my kids are taught in school.
Sure, of course.
And I have no problem. My kids will be taken out of school if any teacher, I don't give a fuck what side, if any teacher I find out is like telling my kids what it is and this is right, and this is wrong when it comes to like political and social stuff, they're out. They're out.
Exactly.
I'm just not gonna do that, man. It's scary time. I never thought that I'd be that old. You feel like that old, because remember when you're young?
Oh, sure.
And you're in the living room and you're playing Mario Brothers on Nintendo, and you hear your parents having coffee and they're having cake, and you hear it, you're like, that's old man shit. Like that's old people. That's old people shit. Like we're losing this country or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not like to that extreme, but it's like, but you made a good point when you said it's not the majority of people.
Yeah.
I think the majority of people are center and then either have the shoulder lean into the left or the shoulder lean into the right, but they can sit down and talk to anybody.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you have the fucking mentally ill lunatics who kind of fucking add the fuel, and that's why you get like, that's why I think like, if you watch CNN and you watch Fox News, they're like, what'd they say? All right, and they're going harder.
Oh, yeah.
They're going harder because they're like,
But to your son's point, it's not even what the media is telling you, it's how they're telling it to you. Like when all the Asians were getting fucking blasted, and like Asian grandmas are just getting fucking blasted in the fucking face. It's like, why is there only one race written about in these articles, and it happens to be Asian, but the other race is nowhere to be mentioned in this whole article? But then you see the videos, the constant videos. It's like, oh, well, there's another race involved here, but there's an agenda behind why you can or cannot say certain things. And look, we all know this. Every time there's a mass shooter, the first thing I think about is, what identity, what race is this person? Because that's going to alter how this whole thing is covered, which is so sad.
The story will be the narration of that story is about that.
Exactly. Yeah, that will shift the paradigm in terms of the narrative. Yeah, which is so frightening and scary. But I'm so glad that your son was able to pick up pretty quickly and figure that out, because that's a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah. No, it's on both sides too, man. And like when you see something where they kind of like depict a certain race doing something in the streets wrong, looting, fighting, or something like that, it's like, but go. You all right, Mike? Mike's getting all fucking heated back there about race. He's ready to punch.
You know who I'm trying to punch, right? It's the wrong side.
Did you feel any of the COVID shit? Were people looking at you differently? Did you get any of that? Did you feel any kind of thing about that or no?
No, to be honest with you, the only people I was worried about during COVID was the fucking other comics, because there were times where I feel like, especially living in Los Angeles, it is an absolute echo chamber. It's a very, very progressively left kind of echo chamber. And I've continued throughout the course of my career to be very centered. I travel the country. I try to be respectful of every environment I'm in. I have my own personal beliefs, for sure, behind closed doors, and I'm not going to lie, they're pretty centered, you know, and I get a lot of shit for it, and a lot of people say, you're fucking MAGA, you're a socialist, it goes both ways. I've lost 2 or 3 good friends over
that's crazy
over it because I put out a tweet that was like still, humorous in nature, but also stating an opinion, and it didn't go step in line with, the faction of the left. And I was like, am I not allowed to have a fucking opinion? This is fucking bananas, guys.
Dude, that's what's scary about our business, is somebody can see something. I tweeted something recently, and it's just like, I don't like when I say a fact.
Right.
It's a fucking fact.
Right.
And people are like, oh, because that fact happens to not fall on my side,
right,
then I'm not happy. So let's be honest, guys. And this is just what it is. This has nothing to do. This is true. I talked about it in my special.
Yeah.
I didn't vote for Trump or Biden. I voted for Eli Manning. And that's the real shit. I didn't
vote either. And one of my friends said, I'll never talk to you again because the choice is so apparent. Literally, a good friend said that to me.
That's the thing. But dude, when I saw like the 5th Target getting looted, when I saw the 19th fucking Walmart getting looted where like the candy aisle was set on fire, literally. Okay, when I saw a bonfire in the middle of a
But you know what's fascinating, Virzi, is that the 5th Target got looted, but you know what's crazy? All the country music was still in the CD cases.
Hey man, you don't fuck with that section. but I said, I was like, listen, dude, let's be honest here.
Right.
The cities that's happening in are fucking progressively far left politicians are in those cities. You can't tell me that that's not true, because you want to know what? The target in the cities that aren't burning.
Right.
And I just said that, and somebody goes, nice pivot, Virzi. I guess you're trying to get those Joe Rogan fans. And I'm going, what? So when I do another tweet, then what? And it's the same thing with my first special. My first special on Comedy Central, I made fun of Trump tweeting. People are like, he's funny except for his Democratic agenda. Then with this one, I'm making fun of Biden, and I'm making fun of Biden, and then it's like, oh, dude, we know where. And it's like, so you want me to talk about what you're gonna like me and give me good reviews if I talk about what's good for you,
right?
So let's ignore the fact. So that's not. Oh, and then I said, yo, the people running these cities like need different policies. And somebody goes, yo, my man, say what you want to say. And what they meant by that was like, say the racist thing that I think you really mean. No. First of all, I'm not talking about race.
Right.
I'm talking about progressively fucking crazy left things that are saying a criminal should get bail that day. Because that's what's happening in the city. And I know that because I have friends that are cops. And they're telling me that you can be assaulted on the subway at 2 o'clock. And by 6 o'clock, you're out on the fucking street. Now, if I say that's fucked up, but you know, that person in power, that those people aren't animals, they need rights. And I go, well, everybody needs rights until you fucking lose that privilege to have the right. And then you should be behind bars. And then I'm a crazy It's like, no, dude, my kids are going to walk on that street. I took my son to a Knicks game when it wasn't like that. And then I took him recently, and he was fucking clinging on to his dad a little harder. And he's looking around going, what the fuck is going on? And it's like, am I going to lie? No, I got to say, like, what's going on? They put a policy, and they did a bail reform thing.
Of course.
People are getting murdered because of it. People are fucking, the guy that walked by a fucking 80-year-old woman and just like punched her in the face, and they were like, oh, that guy got convicted earlier, and he's out. So like when I say that, it has nothing to do with my political views. I'm an independent center guy, but I'm also a logical fucking guy who's not nuts.
Right. And look, I got a ton of shit yesterday for tweeting something out. I basically said what people were so Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon get fired at the same time, right? So they get the boot. And so now everybody's kind of chiming in and everything else. And then I saw Jon Stewart was trending. And Jon Stewart was on CNN way back in the day at the advent of his time on The Daily Show when he's really a big star. And he goes on Crossfire, which was a politicized kind of hack debate between James Carville and Tucker Carlson, right? So Jon Stewart shows up and famously says, you're doing a disservice to this country by having these ridiculous heated debates and causing more division. And my point was, you guys are praising Jon Stewart. He's done more to create division in this country than anything, because what The Daily Show and his success did is they spawned off all these progressive left political satire shows, and it's bled into the late night talk shows. So go down every late night talk show, right? You got Colbert, you got Seth Meyers, you got Jimmy Kimmel, you got Jimmy Fallon, you got James Corden, you got Trevor Noah, you got The Daily Show, you got John Oliver, you got Samantha Bee, you got Bill Maher. It's like they're all left, right? And now within the last year, there's one guy over here, and that's Greg Gutfeld, right? But historically speaking, all these comedic voices are all having the same jokes, all having the same opinion, and they're all kind of like hitting the right with a lot of vitriol. And there's kind of like a disgust with the right. Like, how can these fucking people think? How can that senator think that? I mean, you're literally telling. I remember when Colbert did that joke about Trump sucking Putin's dick. I was like, wow, that's now you just put the field markers downfield just that much further. That's the new benchmark. So you can go there now. You can go there on CBS. And I was like, do you think that's not like harmful for discourse? Because I don't mind like levity. I don't mind clever jokes. But my point was, Jon Stewart, and then all the underlings under that umbrella, they all follow under the, it's just comedy. It's like, till it's kind of not. Like some of the stuff's really mean-spirited.
Well, if it was flipped the other
attacks-
way.
Oh, flip the other way, there'd be blood in the streets.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's not cool. Like, that's what's not cool is like,
Yeah.
it's just so, and what's
But I was pointing that out.
Yeah.
And I was getting all
I'm
the
sorry, go
shit
ahead.
like, you're fucking, you're a MAGA piece of shit. You're conservative. Why don't you just come out and say, like the same things. Why don't you just come out and say who you are? I'm like, no, I'll say I did. I'm a comedian. I go around the country and I want to respect everybody. And I want to make jokes for everybody. I want to entertain everybody. I don't want to entertain one person. And even when I did my hour special, the late night talk show was done to kind of balance the scales, to go left and right. So I had the monologue and I counted the jokes. I was like, all right, this is pretty fair. I hit both sides pretty fairly. And then I turn it in to executives in Amazon in California.
Yeah.
And I get 10 jokes back that aren't allowed to be in the special. And you look at it, it's like, oh, well, they just tipped the scales. I wonder why. And it's like that kind of made me pretty angry, but it's like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. They acquired it. They're taking it. I'm contracted to give it to them, so it's going to go. So I have to kind of capitulate and do what they want.
Were you able to fight for any of those jokes, or?
I was able to get one joke in, and what I did was I did commercial breaks. So I did the monologue. I do commercial breaks. I have the band, the set. It all looks like a talk show. And during the commercial breaks, I did crowd work. And during this crowd work bit, I basically broke down why I think diversity is bullshit by talking to one individual and to a white guy and saying how many black friends are in your cell phone. This is the bit. And he goes, two? And I'm like, oh my God, you fucking racist piece of shit. Black guy. Can you believe this is fucking nuts? Then I'm stumping for the black guy. I'm like, this is crazy. And then I go, black guy, let's get past this. Let's have fun tonight, right? You're at a taping. We're here. He's, yeah, it's fucking great. Okay, I'm going to get back on stage. And then I get ready and I'm like, black guy, just curious, in your cell phone, how many Asian friends do you have? And he's like, and I'm like, you fucking black racist piece of shit. So I'm shitting on the white guy. I'm shitting on the black guy. And I think the whole thing is just a bunch of, and they love it, right? And then Amazon said, no, because you're vilifying this black guy. I go, what about your notes on the white guy? You didn't do anything about the white guy. Like, that's actually worse because people expect that, right?
Yeah.
So I fought. I was like, if I get one, it's fucking that. It's the commercial break. So.
Okay, yeah, no, man, it's just like, I'm glad we're talking about this because we, what I do on the show is like we let the show go where it goes.
Sure, yeah.
And you have kids and I have kids and we're just two dudes that want the best for our kids and
absolutely
we don't want, like, it's no agenda. It's an anti-division thing. All you want to do is you want fucking everybody to be happy. I just want to be able to walk through New York City, not have to worry.
Sure.
I have friends that go, hey, I'm coming to New York. Like, what should I do? And I go, don't take the subway at night alone.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what you should do.
Right.
You should fucking Uber and you should get in a cab because unfortunately there's too many surveillance cameras catching people get sucker punched or pushed on the tracks or assaulted on the thing. And that's not like, if you're going to take that as me being a side and being like, then fuck you.
Right.
Then, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to take me going, yeah, crime is bad. Why? Because, they say that on TV. No, it's because I have friends that are cops that are telling me that, like, gun
just
crime
common
is
sense.
It's like, yeah, it's just common sense. You want everybody to be okay. So,
well, I used to go to, I think it was along Fairfax, right across from Cantor's Deli in Los Angeles. There's this great pizza spot I always go to, and prior to pandemic, my friends and I used to go sit on the deck, like deck, but a sidewalk little area where you could eat pizza before we go to the Grove or something, watch a movie. And used to go there all the time. And then post-pandemic, I went there. LA is definitely not the same. I was driving along Sunset just last week, and I was shocked. It seemed like at least a quarter of all the storefronts along Sunset, from the Comedy Store to the entrance to the 101, are fucking gone. Amoeba's gone. Cinerama Dome, ArcLight is gone. Now, those things were happening sometimes prior to, but a lot of my favorite restaurants are fucking gone. And I go to this Prime, and it was gutting to me. And I go to Prime, and I'm like, man, what's going on? It's pretty dead here. He's like, yeah, nobody comes here anymore. I was like, why?
Jesus.
He's like, people are getting fucking pistol whipped in there. Cars are pulling up, just pulling guns on people and stuff. And I'm like, should I eat inside, dude? like I don't want to be here, So I went inside and ate. But to your point about our kids and stuff, I agree with you 100% across the board. And my daughter's at the point where she's asking me what a Democrat is, what a Republican is, and I basically break it down. And she says, "What are you?" And I said, "Livy, it doesn't matter what I am, and it's not going to matter where you are. Just keep that kind of personal for a while, because people take this stuff a little too seriously. I'm not going to tell you what you should be. You're going to learn to discover these things on your own. I'll tell you factually what they may believe in. Yeah. But as you go forward in life, you're going to learn what hole you fit into. But just know, usually for the most part, when you're younger, you vote blue, and then you get a little older because you have money and you vote red. And that's kind of the way it goes, but that's the way it goes, right? I remember when they did that face app and you could see how old you look. You know, this is me when I'm 80. And I was like, oh, now you can see now a 20-year-old can see what they look like when they vote Republican.
Well, you're a better father than me, because I tell my kids, I go, you see that on TV? They're crazy. They're sick. And and you're never gonna fucking do that. You're never gonna listen to what the media tells you. Somebody's, you're gonna treat everybody okay and all that. And I know that you do that. I know that you do that as well. Yeah, but it's funny. It's like as soon as you're like, dude, I'm middle. I'm like, dude, I'm middle, dude. And then I started making some money. Right. I was like, these liberal motherfuckers are taking my check. I was like, 40% of that shit? I was like, I'm making money. Like, maybe Donnie T had a point, dude. This is fucked up, dude. You can't take all this. No, but it's true. It's like you really, now, you always did. I really believe you always did have to be there to tell your kids what's going on in the world, but now more. I really believe now more than ever, man. Yeah, because now there's like it's ever since
sexualization, I think, is getting way out of control,
dude. It's like kids shouldn't. Like you should. I don't want to have to talk to. Like I want my kids instinctually to live their life and get to an age, and whatever that age sexually is, even though I don't want to think about that, you're going to find that out, and you're going to go on your journey, and whatever it is. I don't want anybody watching shit or telling my kids shit about that.
Yeah.
Dude, you want to laugh? The other day we were walking through New York. We were walking because there's like a lot of guys jerking off in the subway and shit. They're just jerking off in the streets. And dude, me and Burr were walking through the park, just smoking a cigar, and everyone was beautiful. I was like, dude, now I know why these guys are jerking off everywhere. I was like, everybody's good looking in the city. The guy just hopped on the subway, couldn't help himself. No, dude, like when the weather starts getting good, people are like,
spring?
Dude,
I can fucking crank it out. Crank it out.
God, like, dude, he just leans against the trees. Like, I can't. No, but and listen, I know all cities I know the media probably does take the few bad events and like replay the same. I get that too. Like I know that we're not living in Gotham City, so I don't want to act like you can't literally walk outside without getting. I get that, but it's definitely not the New York City that it was pre-pandemic, and nobody could tell me that it is.
No, it definitely isn't. I think, look, you look at the landscape, there's enough blame to go around, right? On the left, their policies of like defunding is bananas. Like, and Chicago just went even further left than Lori Lightfoot. It's like, this city's going to burn to the fucking ground. But then the right, it's like, you guys are fucking idiots too. It's like you had the midterms locked up. You had momentum going into 2024, and you overturned Roe versus Wade. You have something that the country has access to for decades, and then you're going to flip it just because of ideology. It's like, why would you take that service away from people that have been so used to it? It doesn't make any sense. And then every school shooting, like the NRA should be at the forefront of this stuff instead of hiding and tucking behind politicians. If they got at the forefront and worked with, for example, the progressive left and said, look, for example, let's try to figure this thing out together, instead of taking this hardened stance of like, nobody's taking our fucking gun. It's like, nobody wants to take your gun, but do we need like fucking semi-automatics? Why don't you just give everybody RPGs? Make that accessible.
This conversation just came full circle, by the way. Okay, Tucker Carlson, Don Lemon having a beer.
That's right.
That's it. It's just, but it'll never happen. How fucked up are things when people are like, dude, get Lori Lightfoot back? Dude, how fucked up are things when you're like, dude, get her back? Dude, that's fucking wild.
Dude, one of my friends, the friend that doesn't talk to me anymore, I'll tell you.
By the way, that's so fucking.
I'll tell you afterwards.
I don't mean to interject here. Remember your thought, but the fact that people are losing friendships and family members, dude. There are people that are losing family. It's like over this shit. maybe that person doesn't think that that person is bad and evil, and maybe that person doesn't think that. But can't you just talk about that? But go ahead.
Yeah, look, I mean, I lived in Chicago for 2 years. I love Chicago, so I kind of keep tabs on it. I lived in California, so I keep tabs on water control. I'm obsessed with like the water flow in California for some reason. It's one of those things I get into. But during the post January 6th, which I think is fucking idiotic and ridiculous and can't believe it fucking happened. It's embarrassing. It's a worldwide embarrassment. And then I think all those BLM marches that were peaceful, it's like those are just as, if not more embarrassing, because you're affecting actual working Americans, their livelihoods. Like if something happens to the Capitol, it's just going to fucking build it with taxpayer money. But you're destroying someone's liquor store, their dry cleaning service, you know, maybe something that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. It's like that's a storefront that meant something to that community. That's an individual that was a bedrock in a community that maybe was underserviced, right? And so you got all this trauma happening. And I remember Chicago, when the BLM stuff was rippling through there, that the city was shut down for 24 to 48 hours. They literally lifted the bridges in Chicago to stop it. And present day, you can go along Michigan Avenue, and I'd say a third of those storefronts are all shut down. When I lived there, it was thriving. You could walk up and down Michigan Avenue. Everybody's shopping. Everybody's going out to restaurants. Families out there. It was great. And my point was, I was really pissed off that this stuff was happening in Chicago. And there was a popular opinion at the time, like, this is the wrecking that needs to happen so that attention's garnered to this community so that it can be rectified and helped, right? And solved. And I was just like, there's no excuse for that. And there's no excuse for January 6th. There's just none. And so for me, I had that stance. And again, this individual and we went back and forth. And he's like, again, the answer's so clear. You're a fucking idiot. And I think to your point, I think this is where we're at. Where
not a comedian, or is it a comedian?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Do I know the person?
Probably.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man, to me, that's sad. It's just like, and there could be no, like, listen.
The whole thing started because I was calling during pandemic to see, hey, how you doing? I miss you. Ain't that the fucking crazy thing?
Dude, you're not sick. Is your family all right? And then, how are things? And then what? Fucking, how could you say that? No, man. Like anytime, I just have a hard time with anybody on either side, anybody defending violence when, you know, like just public aggression and violence on any side, dude. It's just like, that's ridiculous, man. Yeah. And I remember when, I think my grandmother was a Democrat and my grandfather was a Republican, and it was normal because it was almost close. Remember when it was like there were like two policies different, like Democrat and Republican used to be close, back in
well, there was just the newspaper back then.
People would consider like Bill Clinton then more because
well, look at John Kennedy. Well, I mean, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. That's a Republican statement,
right?
I mean, you're not looking for government to be the solution. I mean, that inherently sounds very Republican, but he was one of the most, and if not to this day, one of the most popular Democrats to ever live.
Yeah, I wonder what the country would be like if there was literally no parties. Like, would people be confused? Like if there was just literally candidates and you just didn't know, they got rid of the D and they got rid of the fucking R, and it was just people in the fucking, and like they would just say things, and one guy would be like what we're talking about. They would be like you. They would be like how confused would people be if you're like, no, dude, like I'm you know.
Or if we just really knew what they stood for. Forget the D and the R. Like what? Yeah. Who? I don't know. I didn't come up with this, but they should have to wear like NASCAR, like who on their suits, like who they're taking money from.
No, but but people, I think people get mad at me because they go, Virzi, what are you? It's the same thing. Like they can't figure out, because on one side I'll say, yeah, like you were saying before. It's like, nah, dude, like keep your guns, but maybe not going with a bazooka.
You're fucking crazy.
Maybe not going with a bazooka, but then then you say something else on the other side, and they're like, dude, I can't figure it out. But then it would make them have to. It would make the people have to pick somebody that had
right.
But now that will never happen.
No, you can't be ambiguous.
I mean, dude,
anymore.
I saw one guy. I don't even know much about him. And again, this is not a political podcast at all. We're just shooting the shit. This is where the show went. And I'm glad it did, because it's good to talk about this shit because people are talking about it. And you got two centrist guys who have their beliefs but just want the best for everybody, including their families and their country. But that dude in Pennsylvania who had a stroke, who the fuck, the kid that looks like, yeah, dude. I mean, that fucking kid. Listen to me, dude. I don't know much, but if I saw that kid, and it's just like, no, dude. It's,
I mean,
I don't know what he could have said the greatest thing. I'd be like, dude, this kid is like. You ever look at an NFL coach that you just know is going to lose? Like who? Like there was just like back in the day, there was just a Lions coach or like a Browns coach that you were just like, dude, this guy. Not only is he not getting, it's just never going to happen. I just feel like this is the case with this guy, but they're going to vote, and it's the same thing the other way. Like it's the same thing the other way.
But they're going to vote party lines. They're not going to vote and think, oh, this guy, he had a stroke. Every time he came out, I thought he was going to sing "Putting on the Ritz" from Young Frankenstein. I mean, just give him a tuxedo on the top hat. Dude, he was out of his fucking mind.
And dude, it's the same thing.
Go
like,
heal.
Yeah,
go get better. You had a stroke. Stop running,
dude. The left or right will vote for you. Anything about the party, and they'll make excuses for it. It's really wild.
100%. But that's again to the point of the media. They like. The super left was like, isn't this great? We have like disabled people running it. It's like, guys, that's fucking crazy. Like, he had a stroke. And if you were John Fetterman, was like, I'm not disabled. Like, I had a stroke. What the fuck?
Yeah.
But they're trying to put it under this umbrella of like, see, now you can't make fun of him because he's disabled.
Right.
It's like, that's fucking crazy. Like Don Lemon, that with Ramaswamy, is that his name? Did you see that video with no. Don Lemon and the Republican candidate Ramaswamy? And I think if you say his name 3 times, this table will levitate. But Ramaswamy was on it. He shows up. And he's bringing up an issue that's affecting Black America. Yeah. And Don Lemon saying, well, I find it insulting that you would tell a Black American what his perception or opinion of Black America should be when you're not. And he's like, I'm not. I'm just trying to talk about a topic or an issue. And Don Lemon, once again, puts out the umbrella and says, I'm Black, so you're not allowed to discuss this. And he was trying to just have an actual politicized, political debate about it. And I think that was one of the straws that broke the camel's back. But that's another example of, and it happens on both sides, by the way. I mean,
well, they said today,
happens,
they actually said why Tucker Carlson got fired today. The exact reason, and it was strictly because of his laugh. Dude, that's the weirdest fucking thing.
Oh,
it
was
creepy. The most bizarre thing I've ever watched, where he would listen and he'd go,
That's a laugh that Kevin Spacey would hear and go, that sounds like a 12-year-old boy. That sounds like a 12-year-old boy.
That laugh, and the weird thing about Tucker Carlson's laugh, because I just watch, you watch clips of it, he does it out of nowhere. So, like, there'll be something that, like, because it's his wheel spinning, and then he'll find it and be like, so true. Right? Like, it's not even placed right.
Yeah.
Like, he'll...
The brakes hit hard on that laugh,
yeah, like, if me and you cry laughing right now, we'll fall down. It takes a second. Let's get back up. Let's regroup. But, you know, I'm going to take a sip of water. Oh, that was a great laugh. He could just be like... just like... So true. Thank you. The country is in shambles. And you're like, dude, are you fucking...
That's great,
Yeah, man. It's you know what's weird, too, is, like, I always thought, like, it's really weird that, like, independents get, like, 3%, like, looked at. It's like, you can have the most logical motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can have the most logical, I try to see your points here. I try to see your points here. Right. I'm not running on any side but the logical side. And they're like, yeah, 2%, go fuck yourself.
Sorry. It's like there's so much money behind both parties that the message is going to
That's what it is.
Getting out, whether it's through like Fox News or a lot of the podcasts or it's the late night talk shows. But the independents, there's no infrastructure that's a big enough megaphone for them to get the word out, which is a shame because you have somebody like Andrew Yang who's talking about universal basic income and with ChatGPT coming out and AI and things getting more automated. Look, they just opened the first fully automated McDonald's in Texas. Yeah. There's not a human being in there except for one person that works in the office. Everything else is automated. The drive-through, you walk in, the machines are making it for you. It's fucking crazy, and it's going to be something that I've never heard. I've not heard one other candidate discuss other than him. It's going to happen a lot sooner than we think. All
right, dude, we're going to talk about this now. You know what, Mikey? We're going to go. Can we go a little overtime? Yeah. Okay, a little overtime here because this is a great one, man. Okay. Thank you for being here. Do you mind like a few minutes?
Please, yeah.
Okay, this is going to be all right. So I just saw this thing where they were in a lab somewhere. It was, I think it was in Massachusetts, and they had a robot with a gun, right?
Right.
Dude, this fucked me up, man. And the robot was going like, and then there was targets, cardboard targets, and then humans next to the target. And they wanted the robot to differentiate, dude. And I'm watching this thing petrified.
Yeah.
And this thing goes, gun near the person, and they go right through the wood. Like differentiating that if you shoot that person, you're shooting a human. And this thing was accurate. Then it fucking jumped over a bench and did like a somersault. Dude, this was, I'm not even trying.
Really?
This was fucking Terminator 2 shit, dude.
iRobot shit.
And this
Jesus
was like,
Christ.
and this thing, and then now New York City broke out the dog.
The dogs, yeah.
The dog
that's
is,
right.
you know, and
They're
know,
bomb
and they can smell
sniffing dogs.
They can smell
and-
drugs. No,
Yeah.
no, can they?
That's what they said, yeah.
Yes, they can. Same.
No,
company-
they can't not smell drugs.
Same company, Boston Dynamics, makes both of those products.
Yeah.
It's very scary what Boston Dynamics is up to.
Dude, Boston Dynamics is doing shit where like they're understanding the difference between a mannequin and human flesh, and they're accurate, dude. And it just makes you go like, I'm putting my mind like 100 years from now.
Yeah.
Like after our kids and like 150 years from now, like there'll be no military that's not robot. Why?
No,
There'll
you're
be
right.
no
yeah.
casualties.
Well, look,
Right?
most of the things that are happening in the air via us is drone.
Dude,
It's drone
there
strikes.
better not be fucking robot comedians. We're replaced. So a guy goes, the audience is fucking.
Oh, believe me, if I could sit at home and fucking go like this and have some Jameson and just go, okay, now here's and I would just automate and stay at home. I'd be fucking, I'd be in Central Park jerking off with you and Burr. That's right, babe.
Two people to the left. Make fun of them. Make fun of them. You just see a robot. Nice jacket. Yeah, man. It's like when I see the shit. Like it was one thing when you watched it years ago and it would walk kind of like a robot.
Oh, now it's.
I mean, now it's like the things are accurate. They're jumping. They're fast. You just looked at it, you're like, that's a killing machine, man. That thing could just really. And now they're gonna like an army of them. It remind me of Star Wars, like Attack of the Clones.
Oh yeah,
when they
yeah,
were just
yeah.
in formation. It's like, what's stopping that?
Well, then you also have different variations of the AI soldiers. You have ours, right? And then you have, you know, the ones over in Russia. You're gonna have the ones over in China. And look, they already have face recognition everywhere in China. I'm sure you've seen those cameras, right? I mean, you go to any crosswalk, you go to any street.
No, really?
Oh,
In
my
China.
God, it's everywhere. Everywhere. Facial recognition. Remember Minority Report when Tom Cruise is walking through and the advertisements are coming out of everything?
Yeah, vaguely.
It's the reverse. The government is sitting there and they're tracking every single individual coming through facial recognition.
So if you're in China and you walk through an intersection, they see you, they know it's you?
Everywhere.
Wow.
Everywhere. Just go, like literally Google it, and you'll see like the like mini cell towers like everywhere, and there's like 15 like balls of just camera like eye in the sky, like you're in a casino basically. That's Beijing.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
I lost my wallet in a casino once, and I went and asked the front desk, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll find it in a few minutes." I said, "Well, can I leave my name because I have my ID?" They're like, "We know who you are." And then literally, like an hour later, there was in my room was my wallet. They found it and delivered it to me.
Yeah, that's
because they tracked me through the casino, found where my wallet was dropped, and brought it back.
I lost my girlfriend. She's blonde. She's got like pretty big tits.
Lost a stack of
Yeah,
$100,000.
I love these people that are like, I'm going off the grid. It's like, you're not going off the grid,
No.
dude. You're never going off the grid. You have a social security number. You have DNA. They're like, there's.
If you have a cell phone, you're not going off the grid.
Yeah.
You are the grid, man.
You have to throw your cell phone in the ocean and go to like a cabin or a cave somewhere, and they're still probably gonna figure
Still find you.
something out.
Yeah.
But like go to all your family members and find out. It's really fucking nuts, man. I'm not gonna be one of those guys though. I was at a party once and this guy goes, "Yeah, we're in America." He goes, "Yeah." He was like nodding his head. It was fucking weird. He's going, "Yeah, you're America. You think you're free, huh? Huh?" He was like this. He goes, "You think you're free? You're not. We're not fucking free. We're not fucking free." And I was just like, "All right, dude, I'm gonna go in the other room."
We haven't had appetizers yet. Jesus Christ.
They know us. They
Start
know
the car, honey.
They know where we are. They know where we are. But look, all we could do is, that's why I love our job, because our job is supposed to kind of bring that all together.
Yes.
That's a nice thing when you go on stage and you see white audience member, black audience member, Asian, Indian, all these people, and they're all laughing at the same bit.
Yeah.
And you see some of them wiping their tears from the same bit,
Right.
and they come up to you and they're like, "That was so funny." I don't know what news channel you're watching tonight.
Right.
I don't know what you believe in, but what we all had in common in that moment. I know it sounds corny. I know it sounds cliche, but we all had some laughs together.
Right.
And like that's the beautiful thing. It needs to get back to that, and I don't know what it would take. I don't know what it will take for that.
I think, to your point, I think what it would take, because we're of a certain age. Look, I remember 9/11.
Yeah.
I was here at 9/11. American flags off of every fire escape in this city.
Oh, dude, it was
Very
united.
patriotic. Then you have another unifying communal moment in our lives, which is pandemic. And it was so divisive immediately. I mean, party lines were drawn. You're either this or you're that. And it was, boy, it's like, Jesus, unless somebody bombs us again, it's like, when would anything get united in this country?
All right, should we do it now? We're going to do it now, guys. Yep. Here it is. All right, we didn't want to do it like this, but we're going to do it now. Guys, I'd like to let you know that I'm going to be running for president of
Here we go.
the United States 2024. And my running mate is going to be Steve Byrne.
I'm
for
the
vice
diversity
president.
hire.
So it's going to be Virzi Byrne 2024. And, listen, we'll be out there. Mikey will be out there with petitions. We need 100,000 signatures.
That's right.
To
and
make this official.
Our first fundraiser will be during a Knicks playoff game at Hooters down in Times Square. So as long as they're in the playoffs, we will be fundraising
Here's the
at
deal,
Hooters.
though, real quick. If the Knicks lose another playoff game, we're off the ticket.
We'll see you in 2028, guys.
Dude, no, man. This was great, and I hope. Thank you for coming on,
Buddy,
dude.
thank you, man.
No,
Great
no,
to
dude.
spend time again.
So great to spend time. We're gonna do it again because we could obviously talk about everything. We'll go to a sporting event.
Absolutely,
That'll be the shit. That'll be the shit. And we'll get our first town hall thing going.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah. We're
And God bless, it'll probably be Berg going to the Bruins game and winning the Stanley Cup, son of a bitch. So.
Oh, jeez. Mikey, we're good. We have anything else?
I just think that the Virzi Byrne is it rolls right off the
Dude,
tongue,
I'm not
man.
gonna lie though, the Virzi Byrne 2024. It's because it almost sounds like we're burning off the shit. We're coming to get rid of the shit and we're starting fresh, dude.
The Virzi Byrne. There's a fire coming your way.
Here's the commercial. Here's the commercial. I come out.
Yeah.
Right. I come out and I go, I'm nominated, candidacy for president. And then all of a sudden you start seeing all the negative stuff. There's a sign that says media. There's a sign that says bias. There's this. There's that. Steve parachutes in. Check this out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm there.
From a Chinese spy balloon.
You parachute in.
I have Chinese
and you
spy
have
balloon.
No, he's got a blowtorch.
Yeah.
Burn. Right? And he all the negative shit just fucking dissolves around us. And then I cross my arms, you cross your arms, and then it says, Virzi Byrne 2024. And then old politicians just melt.
Like the end of Raiders, where he's just like, Pelosi, good. Schumer, good. Lindsey Graham, good. Enough said. 2024.
We're kicking the old buddy. We're kicking everybody out. There's a new age.
Virzi's jumping up and down in his seat. I think he's starting to take this more seriously. I think you're actually into it.
You know what would be funny if we actually did a fake trailer?
Yeah.
And we did a fake trailer, dude.
It'd be the first presidential inauguration that takes place at Foot Locker.
Dude.
So that'd be nice.
We got
Officially
food
endorsed
court
by
food.
Kid.
Yeah.
It's catered by the food court in the mall. We're at Finish Line. We just got sneakers. That'd be great, dude.
I want to thank Democrats, Republicans, and P.F. Chang's, everybody. I mean,
Panda
Chick-fil-A.
Express is,
Panda Express.
has catered this whole
Auntie
thing.
Anne's.
Dude, Mike, you could be our campaign manager, dude. You're really good at that shit.
Oh yeah. Why not?
You could be our campaign manager.
Yeah. Well, if we get a tour bus, I'll get us a tour bus. I'll get the graphics going. I'll make
Dude,
sure
how
we have
funny would it
plenty
be
of
if
good
we
food
actually
stops.
got on
Palisades Parkway Mall. That's where we announce our.
How funny
our
would it be if we
presidency.
went on a mall tour and we just saw everybody that wants to vote for us just meet us at the food court?
Just go to Funny Bones across America. They're all malls anyway.
Yeah, Levity's got a bunch of fucking. Yeah, we'll do stand up together.
Yeah.
What do you, Mike? Just real quick. What do you need? Obviously, we're not serious, but what do you need to get? How many votes do you need to be taken seriously on the ballot? I think you could Google that because anybody apparently, if you reach the criteria of 35 years of age, born citizen, you could run with no felony, right?
Okay, natural born U.S., 35 years old.
Check.
Or been a resident since you were 14 or for 14 years. So
Okay,
even if you
check.
weren't born here, you could do it.
We got that.
That's really it. Those are the only three
it?
things. And then that's it. Yeah. I mean, anybody can run, but at that point, it's his money.
Dude, we're going to get the Italian Asian fucking vote, dude. Dude, we're going to get Sicilian Italians. We're going to get the Asian vote. You're Irish, too?
Dude, you know what sucks? Too bad we're not Sebastian and Joe Coy, because we'd have this thing fucking wrapped up in a heartbeat.
You know what would suck is if they saw this and they went after us. Virzi Byrne.
We're like the other guys.
Miss Maniscalco Coy. Oh, dude, We just fucking have a face-off. Yeah, dude. That would be fucking great, dude. That would be great. I think we'd beat them, though, dude. We're like,
Yeah.
we're a little more reasonable.
Yeah, we don't get manicures and pedicures like Sebastian, and I don't dress up like a backup dancer. So yeah, we could do this.
Oh, dude, the Virzi Byrne 2024 campaign run by Big Mike Albanese.
Yeah.
We're coming at you.
Look, I might not get
votes?
you voted in, but I'll definitely get some sick clips for you.
Well, how about this? This we can do. I voted for Eli Manning, and I think he ended up getting like 5,000 votes or whatever.
Hilarious.
How about this? If you guys don't want to vote and you want to do a write-in, just go Virzi/Byrne. and just
Virzi
put it in.
Byrne.
How funny would it be if they were like, yeah, like they didn't win, but we got oddly on
2.5% of the population. Virzi Byrne.
Steve's going to lose 3 more friends.
And we were just like, nah, dude, we're just trying to sell some tickets to this. We're just trying to get those people who voted to our shows in those cities. Dude, this was great. Plug what you have, dude. Plug where people can see you, man.
SteveByrneLive.com is my tour dates. Steve Byrne Live is all my social media stuff, and my new hour special is called The Last Late Night. It's like a late night talk show / hour special. It's on Amazon Prime, so check that out. And yeah, just gonna be on the road. Very excited, and it was a pleasure to be here today and get to spend time with you on the Virzi Effect.
And
I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah, no, dude. Thank you for being here. Steve was one of the first guys that I remember when he went out to L.A. And I saw that you got on the Tonight Show with Leno, and at the time, it was it was a big deal. And you were somebody that I saw hustling in the city, and dude, all the things you accomplished and getting the show and everything, dude. You're a real one, brother.
Oh,
so
thanks, pal.
I appreciate you. All right, I'm just gonna go through these dates, man, real quick, guys. So it's gonna be Stanford. The 5th and 6th. I will be at Raleigh Goodnights the 17th, the 18th, Charlotte. The 31st, I'll be at Helium in Indianapolis. The next night, I'll be at Hilarities in Cleveland. Then we have Sandpoint, Idaho, the Panetta Theater. I'm doing that on the 8th. The 9th through 11th of June is a Punchline in Atlanta. Then Side Splitters, the 15th through 17th of June, and then June 28th, Houston Improv, and June 29th, the Addison Improv. Check out Bone to Pick podcast with Bobby Kelly, Anything Better podcast with Bill Burr, and of course the Virzi Effect. Please keep rates and reviews of the show. Definitely helps the show move up. You could get the podcast everywhere you get your podcast, iTunes, Spotify, and please keep watching and spreading the word of Nocturnal Admissions, which is streaming right now on Netflix. Thank you for being here, buddy. I'm out of here.